What's up, y'all? I'm Christina and we're at the very first event of the Clif Crankworx Summer Series, and I'm wondering, what do downhill bikers bring to an enduro race? We're gonna do a couple of bike checks and find out. We're here with my little friend, Ainhoa Iherco, from Squamish, but actually from Spain. Bit more of a downhill rider from Canyon, but I'm wondering, what do you do to make your enduro bike ready for the downhills here?
Definitely I put cush core in both front and back. I did put my rear shock a bit lighter, just so I don't slam on rocks so much, and just a bit more PSI, just on the back wheel though, not really in the front, just for the grip and everything, but yeah, just trying to get the front wheel over stuff and then the back can just go.
There you go. What PSI are you running, and what kind of tire compounds, what sort of thicknesses?
Yeah, so just the front one is the Assegai 29 with the DH casing. The back one, I chose the Aggressor, same DH casing as well, and 29 as well, I guess, just on the Synthesis carbon wheels. Good rolling speed, but also nice grip on those corners.
What about your cockpit setup? Do you change that at all from your downhill bike to your enduro race bike?
I have a wider setup on my DH, so this one's 770 and my DH is 775. It's not too big of a difference, which it's pretty nice, because then, yeah, like you hop on the DH, you hop on the enduro, it's not that much of a difference, so you don't really change your riding style a lot. For the brakes, I run my left one, so my back brake, a bit more inside and down, and then my right one, I ride it more out and up, just because I just had like the shoulder injury, so I just find it more comfortable.
Joining us now, we've got Lucas CRUZ, another BC shredder. Pretty awesome. Last year you were 3rd place in the World Cup overall for the junior category, and being known for your downhill riding, what do you do to your enduro bike to make it feel like your downhill bike at home?
We beefed it up a bit, front and rear suspension, so we've got a bit more travel in the rear as well as a 170mm fork in the front. I run big brakes just like on my downhill bike, 200mm rotors. And then we got cush core front and rear for some rim protection. And yeah, pretty aggressive setup all around.
You said you're running more rear suspension?
Yeah, well, just to fit a coil shock in there, you up the stroke a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty sweet that we can run a coil shock on our trail bikes.
Awesome.
Especially for us downhillers.
What is your favorite thing on your enduro bike?
That's a tough one. I love the paint job. Yeah. Always a fan of the rainbow paint job, so that's pretty cool.
Pretty cute. It matches your bubblegum shirt and your neckerchief there.
Yeah, we're going with the cute look, I guess, the Norco team.
I like it. Very fancy. Tell us, Casey, what makes it feel like a downhill bike to you?
Yeah, I guess I run a stiffer setup than most people my size, like just a little bit more rigid, I guess, on both bikes. But then again, sometimes I change it up. If I'm hitting bigger jumps or something on my downhill bike, I'll change it a little bit. I think the paint job makes a big difference in the way you ride your bike. Look good, feel good,
absolutely.
Ride good.
Did you pick that color?
Yeah, it's actually a Project 1 colorway, so anyone can get this colorway on their bike if they choose.
I remember you saying you ran like quite high tire pressures, I thought.
Yeah.
For like someone who just rides like a bunch of trail versus someone who's hitting like massive jumps and you can like actually roll your tire off. Like, what tire pressures are you running?
I'm running 24 in the back and 26 in the front. It's pretty standard for dry weather for me. If it was wetter, I would run a little bit less and try and get a little bit more traction. But for now, that's working. It's getting loose up there though, so maybe I'll go down a little bit and see. But
little by little though.
Little by little bit. It's rough out there, so I don't want to get a flat.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. For me, I like to kind of keep my treads consistent, because I mean, once you find the line of where you can,
the breaking point,
the edge of your treads, then you kind of want to just, for me, I like to stick with something that's the same.
Finn Iles. You might know him. He's a Red Bull athlete. He's raced a lot of downhill in the previous years.
Yeah, a lot.
But tomorrow you're going full enduro, bro. So can you run us through your enduro stumpy here? Let us know what's going on.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a stranger to the enduro scene. I've only raced one enduro in my life. I think I was 15 or 16 at the time. I ride a lot of trail bikes, but I've never actually raced it like properly, like a full-on official enduro thing. So tomorrow's gonna be a bit weird. Anyways, my bike, I don't know how to set up an enduro bike. So what I've done is I've transferred my downhill settings directly to my trail bike.
There you go. Boom.
And
It's like a small little downhill bike. It's cute.
yeah, it's really stiff, but I think we'll make the most of it. If I go faster, it should work better. So that's just more incentive to go faster. Yeah.
Definitely. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I think I might soften it up a touch for tomorrow. The fork was just a little bit too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little
But
bit
there is some
aggressive.
steep trails. I think I might ride with, actually, I don't know the rules. Can I alter? Never mind. I was just gonna
We're
ask if I
not
can alter
in
the
EWS.
yeah,
so
okay, yeah. I'm
let's go
probably
with
gonna bring a
sure.
shock pump to change it for different stages because there's one that's super pedally and jumpy,
Yeah.
and then I'll change it for the stage after. And like,
Yeah, I think that's
tire
totally fair.
pressure.
You could even do that at the EWS
oh
if
yeah,
you really
then
wanted to carry a
ready to
shock
go.
pump around.
I already know what I'm doing out here. And then I got my Enduro tube.
Yes, you are so
Everybody
enduro.
does it, so I had to do it.
And what are you gonna do if you actually get a flat? Do you actually have a pump to like blow up the tube? You got some tools?
CO2s in here.
Oh dang,
I got tire levers. I got plugs. I got everything.
dude, you're so enduro.
So
You've
Miranda,
done this.
Miranda sent me a list of things to bring, so
Aw,
I was like, yeah.
Thanks, Auntie Murph.
Yeah, I had a lot of advice.
You're so kind.
Yeah.
Are you running like pretty beefy downhill tires, downhill like spring
Yeah.
kind of settings?
Yeah, my spring is like a 525. I think it's one of the stiffest ones Olin makes.
Woo.
I'm surprisingly heavy, is what I would say.
Stocky.
Those are the Enduro rims from DT Swiss. 1x12, I think. I'm running the downhill calipers and downhill, what are these bad boys called again?
Calipers?
Aren't these calipers? Oh yeah, okay,
yeah.
we'll go back. I'm
You
running
got
I'm running the downhill calipers
this a
and
lot.
the,
Trail levers?
and no, downhill levers. And then
Ooh.
I just have 180 discs, which is like, yeah, the only thing that's different would be this is a little bit lower than my downhill bike. My downhill bike front end rides a little bit higher.
And are they both 29ers?
No, my downhill bike's a mullet and this one's a 29er.
Ooh. Your bike is looking so fresh. I love the colors. Can you give us a little rundown on how you've set it up for this event here?
Yeah, for sure. Super excited. I love this little party looking bike. I love it. I can't talk too much about it. You got to keep your eyes peeled for it. But I have a Fox 38 on it, which I'm pretty stoked about. It's just beefier, more rigid, which helps with both the air downhill and like the, more bike parky enduro. I like to keep it really, strong, stable with lots to play with if you like. Kind of keeping everything else the same as the usual like trail bikes. So I have like trail bike tires, Maxxis DHF and DHR2.
Are you running a thicker sidewall on those or a grippier compound or anything, or just?
It's just my usual.
Straight
I
up.
always go for the 3C XCO. So that's kind of just my combo, and I've
Nice.
never found it to be like rolling or anything. Like I find it to be super sturdy for me, and I just try to make sure I enter a race weekend with fresh tires and they're strong and haven't been weakened over the week. So yeah, carbon wheels from i9. Like I am super decked out.
And
Yeah.
they even match.
They
the
match
wrap
for
job.
sure. Are you kidding?
That
They
is
were like, girl,
so
we
pro.
can do any colors. And I'm like, okay, the bike's going to be, for now, pink and purple. So we're getting pinks and yeah.
So next up, we've got Elliot Jamieson here, another BC shredder, if you can believe it. And he's actually taken quite the approach to get here onto the Enduro bike. So can you tell us a little bit about your riding background before we even touch on the bike?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like before I got on the Norco factory team for downhill, I actually raced all cross country and XC. So for me, like it's kind of sick getting back on the Enduro bike. It's kind of back to my roots of Enduro racing. And really for me, like I'm kind of the opposite of the other team members. Like I kind of set up my downhill bike from my Enduro bike, which is a bit more unique than guys who just always go downhill, or BMX is kind of like goes into downhill more. So compared to downhill, I'm running a softer setup. Just all day riding Enduro, you want it to be comfortable, because then when you're riding tired, you don't want to be on a super stiff setup, because when downhill you're doing one run, you can just have it firm and just like fully race tuned. But for this, if you're a couple hours in, you're not going to be riding as sharp as when you are fresh on the downhill bike. So I'm running a 500-pound spring out back, but this bike's got sort of a different linkage and like leverage curve as the downhill bike, so it's not really comparable with the weights. But yeah, it's definitely softer. I also got a Maxxis ZK tire out back, which is like an extra thick, like downhill specific sort of tire, but I found it to be really sick, like on these tracks. Pretty wide too.
Not running the same tire up front?
No, I'm running the Ascai up front and then the DHR2 on the back. So a bit more bite up front and then more rolling speed out back.
We're here with Seth Sherlock from Squamish. For the most part, I would say that you're like a proper downhill, even more of like a free rider. But what makes this enduro bike up to the downhill par for you?
This bike's like a 140, 150 mil, which is a little different from last year. This is the primer. I was on the carbine last year. But so far, I'd say it's a pretty big improvement, to be honest. Like like all the geometry is a lot more modern and it's like longer and slacker. So I've been really comfortable on it. A big switch for the drivetrain and brakes this year. I'm on TRP and E13 for cassettes and chainrings and all that. So
First race of 2020, so are you feeling confident on your gear?
yeah, feeling really confident. I've had tons of time through COVID to get used to everything. So yeah, like way more than normal. And I'm doing like 3 events on this bike.
Sick.
So I'm doing the air downhill, the dual slalom, and the enduro on this bike. And I got the downhill bike just for downhill.
And clipped in, you always run clips?
And I ran flats until like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I thought
and
so.
then I switched to clips and I got like 15 seconds faster. So
Whoa.
I definitely wouldn't be like here right now if I didn't switch to clip.
Holy
But
crap.
it took me a long time. And now I would never switch back. It's like way more fun to ride and way faster.
Is there anything from your downhill bike, since that's like your really comfy setup, you know every square centimeter of it, is there anything from that bike that you move over to your enduro bike to make it more homey for you?
Yeah, generally I try and keep like brakes, pedals, cockpit, grips, all that stuff, like anything I can the same, you know? So I got like the same pedals on here. I switched these from bike to bike pretty much. And then this whole cockpit is like kind of the same height as my downhill bike.
Right. And
similar reach numbers, sort of. So I try and keep that all pretty similar. Brakes too, I like the same brake power between trail and downhill bike, even though if they're a little overpowered, that's fine.
All right, we've got Shore to the Core, Henry Fitzgerald, joining us today, Norco Factory team. He's got another rainbow sight, but can you please tell us what makes your rainbow sight a little bit better than the ones we've seen earlier?
Well, those other ones, they're just kids' bikes, you know? They're just young teenagers.
Imitators.
Yeah. I got the big guy spray on it, 600 pounds in the back.
Ooh.
100 PSI in the front, you know, getting me over the front, wrapping in the corners. That's how I like it. And yeah, the double down in the back on like old ELLIOT there. Just, you know, a bit more flex, but I still got the cush core to hold me together. And yeah, just when stuff does get a bit crazy, it's not the end of the world.
I like that. A little bit of flex. I was gonna say, with the double down, you must be super confident in your line choice. He's going for it out there. Downhill racer with a
Going for it.
enduro tire.
Let's run it, see how it goes.
Do you have much of a background in enduro or cross country pedally riding, would I say?
No, I was definitely a downhill kid for life, but I have done a few enduros in the past, but not for a few years. Yeah, so I'm excited to get back on the clock, because I've like pretty much only ride the trail bike, but haven't been timed in a long time on it, so yeah, I'm excited.
Did you change anything about your setup from your trails back on the shore to here? Because it's pretty like dusty, very sharp rocks.
Not too much. I've got like a pretty general setup on the trail bike, so yeah, just kind of like, it's not really better for one track or another, but yeah, it's pretty similar to how I run it at the shore. Just like, yeah,
So you know what to
soft
expect.
and yeah, linear, and yeah, just kind of predictable. Yeah.
Well, that was quite enlightening to see what those downhillers are packing out on their enduro bikes. It's not every day that they have to prepare and have tubes, snacks, pumps, and tools, and all that jazz. So pretty exciting stuff. We're gonna see how they do on course tomorrow and how they handle with the big pedaling crowd. Yep, your seat's not as tilted up as I recall from Tag. He's adjusting.
I've changed my ways. My road bike seat's tilted down.
Ooh, he's changed his ways.